We are at the end of the show. And as we always do at the end of our show, we have a spotlight. I shouldn't say always. We usually have a spotlight. And we've got one this week. And this one's kind of a sad spotlight. So, for those who have not heard the news, yesterday, Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek, passed away. She was 80, I believe, 89 years old. So she is going to be our spotlight for a couple of reasons. She was a major character on, I don't even think if it's arguably to say the most iconic sci-fi TV show of all time. I don't think you're going to put anything in front of Star Trek. In all of its iterations, basically in front of that franchise.
Mhm.
And she was, there's a lot of, she was the first to do this. She was the first to do that, in her bio. And then like, I didn't even know this. She worked with NASA for, for years and years, well over a decade, almost
Yep.
pushing two.
Yep.
So let me go ahead and read this little bit of a bio on Nichelle Nichols. So Nichelle Nichols was an African-American actress, singer, dancer, and writer, best known for her portrayal of Nyota Uhura in Star Trek, the original series, and its film sequels. And you know what? I'm going to stop right there because we did something special.
I was gonna
Let me
stop you, but
throw
I was
that
like, I
up.
think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, so I want to go ahead and throw that up there and we'll continue talking. So born Grace Dale Nichols in 1932, Ms. Nichols was the third of six children born to Samuel Earl Nichols, a factory worker who eventually became mayor and magistrate of Robbins, Illinois, and Leisha Parks Nichols, a homemaker. Raised in the Woodland neighborhood of Chicago, Nichols graduated from Inglewood High School in 1951. Michelle's first loves were singing and dancing. She was discovered in her mid-teens by Duke Ellington and toured with both the Ellington groups and Lionel Hampton as a lead singer and dancer. Her first big acting break came in the appearance of Kickstand Company, Oscar Brown's highly touted but ill-fated 1961 musical. Nichelle Nichols is best known for a groundbreaking portrayal of Lieutenant Nyota Uhura on Star Trek, the original series. Preparing in 1966, Nichols became the first Black woman to be featured in a major role in a network television series. Her prominent supporting role as bridge officer was unprecedented. Although Star Trek TOS only aired from 1966 to 69, Nichols went on to star in six original series movies and provided the voice of Uhura in Star Trek the Animated Series until her passing away yesterday at the age of 89. She was one of only four remaining original series cast members. And as I said earlier, this was the most iconic sci-fi show of all time. Ms. Nichols was the first African American to be placed, or I should say, who placed her handprints in front of the famous Chinese theater in Los Angeles. Now, she has more awards that you can throw a stick at. But like I said, she's got a lot of firsts. She was the first Black person to actually put her hands in the cement in front of that theater. That is a thing now. And getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, well, she was the first
Hmm.
to do that in front of the theater. So that was, I thought that was pretty cool. One of the things I didn't know. She also worked with NASA along with her organization Women in Motion to recruit minority and female personnel into the space agency. So Sally Ride came through Nichelle Nichols. Guian Bluford came through Nichelle Nichols. Judith Resnick, Ronald McNair. My daughter actually had a Ronald McNair scholarship when she was in school.
Hmm.
I didn't know this. Nichelle Nichols was, somewhat responsible for getting him into NASA. And the list is long. I mean, there are others. We had a few shows back where we talked about one of our spotlights who was one of the first African American astronauts, one of the first Black astronauts, female astronauts, who this was her idol.
Mae Jemison.
So like I said, she's done so much. Let's see here. What else do I want to say here? So, like I said, she was at NASA. She also was on the board of governors for the National Space Institute. So even though she is an actress, a dancer, a singer, a writer, she really was into into science, not just sci-fi, but into actual science, and and helping NASA recruit and get people there, and being on the board of governors there. So, y'all, what I want to ask is that did you know that she actually wanted to jump off of Star Trek? She actually wanted to get out. Let me bring everybody back in here.
Nope. And you lost. There you go.
Oh,
There we go.
Here we go.
So I got everybody back. But did y'all know that she actually was so far into quitting Star Trek after the first season that she actually handed in her resignation to Gene Roddenberry? And it wasn't until she actually was at a NAACP banquet, and someone said that we have a fan who wants to come up and talk to you. So she said, I'm paraphrasing now, but she basically said, "Oh yeah, I have no problem meeting, somebody who she thought was a Trekkie." And the Trekkie that she thought was coming up to her, she didn't realize who it was. It was actually Dr. Martin Luther King. He told her
I've heard that story.
that he was her biggest fan. And that Star Trek was the only show that he and Coretta allowed their children to stay up to watch. And she started to tell him that, well, I'm going to be leaving Star Trek. And before she could even tell him why, he basically like, no, you can't do that. And I'm going to read this because, they have it quoted here. You cannot. For the first time on television, we will be seen as we should be seen every day, as intelligent, quality, beautiful people who can sing, dance, and go to space, who are professors, lawyers. If you leave, that door can be closed because your role, and this is what's really important and how groundbreaking this role was in Star Trek, her role was not a black role. It wasn't a female role. It was just a role that a black woman happened to actually, be in. So his stance was that your role, because it is, because it's not a black role, that it can be, anybody could replace you. They could replace you with, a white man, a white woman. They could replace you with an alien because it doesn't matter because your role is you. It's not, who you are. And that actually changed her mind. So she went back to Gene Roddenberry and said, "You know what? I think I want to be on the show." He already knew she was coming back because the story goes that he had already torn up her resignation. He was going to, try to figure out what he could do to keep her on it. I'm glad that she talked to Dr. King because, Star Trek, I've said it on the show. I don't like to call myself a Trekkie. I am, because I can name shows by their titles. I actually have watched every single episode of every single version and iteration of Star Trek from the beginning to the last one that just came out, a few months ago.
Why wouldn't you call yourself a Trekkie then?
Because I just don't like to say. I have a cousin who is one. She actually dresses up, puts makeup on, looks like a trail. I mean, she's into it. I'm not like that. I'm not dressing up.
You're a Trekkie.
But let me just say this. I actually have a signed an autograph picture. It wasn't just her. It was her and George Takei, a picture of the two of them. And I got both of them to sign it. So I am that into Trek that I actually was able to go to a convention when I happened to be somewhere near where I was and actually get them to sign it. So I'm not saying like I know her as a person. I know her like anybody of the other thousands of people who have gone up to her and asked for, for autographs. But
and if we could ever get my former mentor Leland Melvin on the show, Leland, if you're listening to this, I'm gonna start stalking you again because you're supposed to be on this show. He's worked with her extensively in her time at NASA. He's tons of pictures with her. He loved her. I don't know if he would. I can't say whether he would credit her with him becoming an astronaut, but I know, once she kind of moved into that role, they worked, and once he was finished with his missions, they've interacted extensively. So I would love to, when he finally comes on the show, get his, stories and memories of her during that time.
So representation matters. Dr. King knew that. Gene Roddenberry knew that. You got, a lot of people don't know about that dude, but he's a visionary with the stuff, just the stuff
people
that
know that
thought up.
Everybody knows representation matters, but they want to pretend like, oh, well, it really doesn't matter. It matters. It matters. And they know it matters because when they see themselves, they envision a world that they are used to. And for them to pretend like, oh, well, the way I grew up, my background, my stories is something that is not unique. You're fooling yourself because everybody has a unique story to tell. They have a unique way they grew up, and they want to see that represented across music, across television, across everything.
That's right.
Simple as that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
So, like I said, it's sad. Many of the spotlights that we've done have been of our heroes that have passed away. This is no different than that, other than the fact that she passed away yesterday. And that kind of sparked it. Shame on me for not thinking, as much as I'm into Star Trek, to not know that, like, I knew that there was some relationship with her in NASA. I didn't know that she was there for like 17 years. I mean, she worked with them for 17 years. I think as late as 2015, she actually was doing some stuff with NASA. So that in 20, that was what, 7 years ago. So I mean, she was well into her 80s, 82, still doing stuff. Where I think she actually flew on like a high altitude flight that does like atmosphere type research and stuff like that. And they got her on it because it was going to be the closest that she actually could get to space. Someone that we watched on television, like I said, this show came on from from 66 to 69. We weren't around yet, but we all know who she is. We've all seen her. She is instantaneously recognizable, even if you don't know what her actual name is. Isn't she like the one who used to wear the red mini on Star Trek all the time? Yes, that is her. One of the first Black folks. And like I said, I didn't put this in here, but her reason for wanting to leave the show is that the race hate she was getting was ridiculous.
I can imagine.
Back in the 60s, because here's why this role was so.
And she kissed Captain Kirk. Come on, man.
That was like in 68.
Come on,
and
man.
so I'll tell two stories. So the first one about why she wanted to leave. So she isn't just a Black woman in a network television show. She was a main character who was a Black woman in a television show, and she didn't have she wasn't a maid, she wasn't a nanny, she wasn't a housekeeper. She actually was a lieutenant. She wore the red uniform because she told white dudes what to do.
Right.
And there are multiple episodes where she is doing that. And they hated her for it. She was getting, number one, she's Black. Number two, she's a woman. So she's getting it, from the misogyny and from the racism. So that's what made her want to leave until she talked to Dr. King, and he kind of changed her thinking on it. And like I said, she's an icon. We all know her for this. So like I said, I'm a huge Nichelle Nichols fan. And like I said, I'm sad to hear that she has passed away, but I'm glad that we actually got to do a spotlight for her. And she is the first time, for anybody who's actually watching this, or should say listening to this, and you don't get to see it, she is the first spotlight where we're actually able to show the people who are watching her picture while we were actually talking about her. It took us 46 episodes before we could actually figure that out. So once again, Nichelle Nichols, rest in peace,
Lieutenant Uhura.